Good afternoon. Welcome. My name is Matt Hiscock. I'm the Director of Public Safety for the City of Wadsworth. Thank you for joining with us today in terms of an officer-involved shooting that occurred here outside the Wadsworth Police Department and City Hall yesterday. During our briefing, you'll hear from Wadsworth City Police Chief Randy Ranke, Chief of the Medina County Sheriff's Office, Ken Baca. You'll also hear from Medina County Coroner, Dr. Duranick, and perhaps from our County Prosecutor, Horace Thompson. We will be presenting some audio and video clips during today's presser. All of those clips will be made available to media. I would just ask to provide us with an email at the end of the conference, and we'll make sure that we get you copies of whatever is presented. At this point in time, I'll turn it over to Police Chief.
So I'm going to start out and just kind of give everybody a brief timeline of the events that occurred last night. I think we're going to have it up here on the screen. We're going to see at about 6:56 p.m. last night, our dispatch center received a report of a hit-and-run accident that occurred on I-76 here in the city. At about 7:13 p.m., we received a call from the driver that was involved in that and said that he had committed the hit-skip accident and he wanted to turn himself in. He was encouraged to come to the Wadsworth Police Department and turn himself in. At 7:44 p.m., we received a call from a Wadsworth City resident who had information from a granddaughter of a subject she knew on Facebook that had said he was going to come to a police department and he was going to commit suicide by cop. The information provided at that time was a guy his last name was Faraday. Supposedly he was from Kent. At 7:49 p.m., we notified the sheriff's department about that call. We couldn't find any information about a Faraday, and we believed that this resident, this person lived actually in a Lodi area. So that's why we contacted the sheriff's department to let them know. At 7:52 p.m., we contacted the caller again, attempting to get some more information about this person named Faraday and where they might be going, so we could try and locate that person. At 7:55 p.m., the SO was notified that Faraday lives in their jurisdiction. 7:59 p.m., we had a subject who contacted Wadsworth PD on 911 and said he was in the lot and he had a gun. At 8 p.m., Wadsworth PD was dispatched and the sheriff's department had officers en route to assist. Our officers arrived at 8:02 p.m. Right after that. We staged the Wadsworth EMS unit a couple minutes away at a CVS location. As this went on, SWAT was en route and starting to stage over in the area. At 8:30 p.m., officers saw a gun, I believe, in his waistband. And then at 8:33 p.m., shots were fired and the individual was shot and went down. Officers then secured him and the weapon and called for EMS, and they were on scene 1 minute later. So there was 1 minute timeline. So that's the basic timeline of events that occurred last night. The 911 call, when he called in and said he was in the parking lot, is actually too long to play in its entirety. So I'm going to play 2 short clips from the 911 call just to kind of give you an idea of what transpired. You could take the first one.
911, where's your emergency? My emergency is in the park. parking lot of the Wadsworth Police Department.
Okay, what's going on?
I am armed and I'm dangerous. Can you please let them know?
Okay, what is your name?
My name is Guy, G-U-Y, Bernard, B-A-R-N-A-R-D.
Okay, Guy, are you on foot or are you in a car?
I am on foot.
Okay, and what type of weapon do you have?
I have a pistol.
Okay, can you put the pistol down?
No, I really just want this to end tonight.
So that's the first clip, and then if you just play the second one.
Yes, that is an officer here. I'm just going to handle the situation.
Well, how are you going to handle it, Guy?
It's really, it can go either way.
Well, hang on a minute. He sees someone, he said this could
People are going to die.
away and people are going to die. Who's ever out there?
So that kind of gives you the gist of what was going on and what the officers were coming into. The dispatcher ended up staying on the phone with him and engaging him for at least 7 minutes. And the phone call was much longer, but she was actively trying to get him to put down his gun and to speak to the officers and to try and get him help. So I'm going to play here ultimately a short video clip. We have a camera outside the police department, and I'm going to just show you a 10-second clip that led up to the actual shooting incident. You can see he's there, officers are off the screen, but they're talking to him, trying to get him to communicate and to put his gun down. So once he drew the weapon, the officers engaged him. Ultimately, the weapon that he had was recovered, and it turned out to be a BB gun. It's a very realistic looking weapon, but unfortunately, it's a BB gun. Wadsworth Police Department had 6 officers that responded and were on the scene. They all range in experience from less than a year with our department to over 15 years. None of them have ever had any disciplinary issues, and none of them has ever been involved in a prior deadly force incident. All the officers and 2 of our dispatchers that were involved have been placed on administrative leave per our policy for an event like this. Because of the nature of this event, I requested the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation to handle the shooting investigation, and they responded last night with an investigation team and a crime scene unit, and they are handling the investigation at this point, and the results will be turned over to the county prosecutor when they're done. This incident was a sad and tragic incident, very uncommon for a city like Wadsworth, very difficult as the young man involved certainly had ties to this community, knows people in this community. It was very trying and difficult for the officers and dispatchers involved, and it's been very difficult for our entire department as well as the community. I will say, from what I've seen so far in reviewing everything, I want to commend our officers and the dispatchers. I thought that they acted extremely professional. They tried for over a half hour to get this young man the help that he needed, and unfortunately he made a decision that just made that not possible. So those are my comments for the moment, and I will just turn it over to Captain Chief Kevin Bach.
Good afternoon. As the chief said, the Sheriff's Department responded as a departmental assist in regards to this incident. The deputies that are involved in this incident are on administrative leave pursuant to our departmental policy. They, along with the agency, are cooperating with Ohio PCI and I in this investigation.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Lisa Duran. I am the coroner from Medina County. I first would like decedent's name is Guy Thomas Barnard. He underwent autopsy this morning, and his cause of death was a traumatic bull arrest secondary to penetrating trauma. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we're going to open up for your questions. I will tell you that we have a limited amount of time, but certainly we'll entertain questions at this point.
Chief, can you talk about the number of shots that were fired, and if you know how many times the suspect was shot? And also, second to that, the mindset of an officer going into something like this, knowing what the dispatcher had told them, and also realizing that he had, do you think this was that cop comment too, or was that just the person that wanted to call?
No, the person on the call said that. And I don't think at that point I was ever put together of it was the same person. As the exact number of shots fired, I do not know that right now. That's part of the ongoing investigation of BCEI is trying to determine how many shots were actually fired. The number of shots that actually hit him, I would defer to the coroner.
Mr. Barnard was shot 6 times.
Is there an age or date of birth of the victim, and do we know if he's the same individual who threatened the school a few years ago?
He is 26 years of age.
And he is the person that did make the bomb threat to Wadsworth High School back in 2012. And we did indict him, and he was convicted for inducing panic.
How many officers fired their weapons? It's part of the
Yeah, that's also part of the investigation that's going on to determine exactly how many officers fired shots.
How many officers are on leave?
As I said before, from Wadsworth, we have 6 officers that are on leave.
Just Wadsworth?
That's Wadsworth, I don't know for sure.
We have 4 deputies that are on administrative leave.
Did the suspect ever use his BB gun? Did he fire that at all?
Again, that's part of the investigation that's trying to be done.
Chief, did he say anything, or was it just his actions that prompted the officers to respond? And then I wanted to follow up about the mindset of officers going into a situation.
At this point, I don't know what his comments were. There was a dialogue going on there. I don't know exactly what his comments were at that point, but obviously I think you can see his actions as what transpired in the shooting.
What about the officers who are going into that situation? And I don't want to take that action, but do you feel that they were left with no choice, or do you feel that there were other things they could have done?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Forrest Thompson, I'm the county prosecutor. I don't think that it's easy to answer the kind of questions that are being asked right now. Not because of evasiveness or anything like that, but because of the nature of this and the protocol that's established by BCI&I. They take over the investigation from the onset, and because they take over by their protocol, the officers were not inquired of or questioned by any of the individuals that are here today. They were spoken to very briefly by the on-scene supervisor of BCI&I, and pursuant to their policy, they will be voluntarily questioned after, I believe, their term is 2 sleep cycles, effectively 2 days. That gives them an opportunity to decompress and think clearly before their question. So again, it's difficult to talk about the mindset because no one here spoke to these officers as far as what was going through their mind, what they observed, those types of things.
Chief, did the officers open fire as soon as he raised his weapon? I know the video, it stops there that we saw, but is that when shots were fired?
I think you can make that assumption, yes.
Beyond the 2012 bomb threat, did Mr. Barnard have any other interactions with the city or the police department?
The only other interaction that I'm aware of is he did have a minor marijuana possession, I believe, in 2014.
Have toxicology reports come back? Do we know if there were any drugs?
I attended the autopsy this morning, along with representatives of the coroner's office, and those results will not be available for several days at this time.
3 to 6.
Chief, have you linked the suspect here to the person that the tip came in about who claimed that they wanted to die by suicide by cop? Have you confirmed that it was actually him that said that?
That is part of an ongoing investigation to try and make those determinations.
To see if maybe it was a mistaken last name that was reported?
Yeah, that is part of the investigation at this point.
But they did say it was, the first name was Guy. Somebody named Guy was coming for suicide by cop.
I believe they said Guy, but gave the wrong last name, correct?
What can you tell us about this hit and run? What were the circumstances of that? Was anyone injured?
I do not believe anybody was injured. Other than that, I really don't know the details of the accident.
Where did that occur?
On I-76 near, I think, State Route 94.
In what jurisdiction?
That would be the city of Wadsworth.
This isn't specific to this case exactly, but can you speak to the scrutiny that officers face these days and the difficulty of making a decision like this on whether they should shoot or not shoot and the alternatives they could have in lieu of shooting?
I think I'd rather just not comment on that at this point.
There are media accounts out there that was a shotgun found, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
There were media accounts out there, there was a shotgun found on the scene.
I could respond. Yes, in fact, there was a shotgun. That shotgun was used to shoot a non-lethal beanbag, which did strike the victim.
Before the shooting?
That was the sole purpose of the shotgun.
That was before the.
I would say it was contemporaneous.
Did the suspect have any other weapons on him besides that BB gun?
No.
Was there any kind of note, any kind of message, social media post or anything?
If there was anything that was identified by that, it would have been, if it had been on its person, it would have been medical personnel would have
There was
had that.
no suicide note on his body.
And the investigation hasn't revealed anything else.
Thanks, sir.
Do you know if he has any family that still lives in the area?
I
Or
believe
he
so.
contacted or made contact with?
Yes, he does have family in the area, and officers made contact last night with the family.
Did it occur on this side of the building, over in that parking lot? Is that where
Yes.
this was?
Yes.
And, sorry, just to go back to that hit and run, was there like damage to a vehicle? Can you talk at all about the extent of that? Was this kind of a minor?
I know a vehicle was run off the road, and I believe we called for a tow later on to get that vehicle out of there, and said, I don't believe there was any injuries or anything like that.
You think it started as a road rage incident?
I think that would be truly speculative.
Yeah.
There was no individual that was, to our knowledge and based on the investigation at this juncture, there was no communication with anyone else where it was singled out or targeted, such as a road rage incident as you're referring. Nothing like that was suggested.
So the person in the other car didn't make a report saying this?
No, that's not what I'm suggesting. I don't know that. What I'm saying is there was nothing that indicated a road rage.
But you confirmed that the suspect who was shot is the same one who called and said that he was involved in a hit and run and planned to turn himself in?
That's correct.
Will you be releasing the body camera video or any dash camera video?
We will eventually release the body camera video that we have. Unfortunately, I can tell you we had a little technical issue this morning, but we will have video available, and I think we have a link we're going to be able to send to Lee if we have an email address, and we'll be able to send you some videos and audio.
What kind of impact does it have on your department to have 6 of your officers on leave?
That's for a city the size of Wadsworth, that's a huge impact. We have 30 officers, so it's basically 20% of the department. Is on administrative leave at the moment, so it's a huge impact on us.
Do you know how long they would be on administrative leave?
That is yet to be determined.
What was his city of residence?
Don't know, quite honestly.
Last month.
I don't know, quite honestly, where he exactly living at the moment.
Was he on foot the whole time he was here at City Hall, or was he in the car?
He was on foot. He parked his car a short distance away and walked here. We later found his vehicle at a nearby location.
The two vehicles in the back that are shot up, they just happen to be in the parking lot?
Correct.
Mr. Thompson, can you talk about your reaction to that video when you look at it and how that may play into your investigation moving forward?
Well, let me make clear. BCI will do the investigation. I will take their recommendations. Our office's standard protocol, as I created, is that all police officer shootings will be submitted to the grand jury for review at such time as the investigation is completed. As far as my personal opinion or my personal impact of the video, I don't think that's appropriate for me to share. At this point, we have to make professional judgment.
Had Mr. Barnard been diagnosed with any specific mental illnesses?
We don't have access at this, again, we don't have access to his medical records at this point in time. That's part, I know I'm being evasive, it sounds like I'm being evasive, I'm not. BCI is doing the investigation. They have a standard protocol that they wish for, agencies to follow. They gather that information. So, we're waiting, because the independent, or the investigation by necessity should be independent, it should be thorough, it should be objective and unbiased. Therefore, my recommendation to both of the departments was to stay away from communicating with any aspect of the investigation at this juncture and let them do their job.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's an excellent opportunity to end our press conference at this point in time. As I indicated earlier, if you are wanting any of the video or audio clips or information that was provided during this particular press conference, please leave with me your contact information or email. Thank you for being here today.
Do you feel comfortable giving a summary on camera?
What did I had a little bit of card trouble. What did I miss about this hit line?
Not really anything.
Okay.
Take a hit. So I will put you on. I'm afraid I'll be hanging on some questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, everybody, thank you very much for tuning into this press conference this afternoon. Needless to say, the Medina Gazette is going to have updates as things unfold, and if it necessitates live video, we'll definitely be back with you. So again, thank you very much for tuning in this afternoon, and keep your eyes on Medina Gazette social media, website, and of course the newspaper, where we'll have full report on the events.